Get ready to tap into the power. You are now entering a work zone where we are building each other up and laying foundation for success. It's the Power of We, a bootstrapping podcast for women entrepreneurs that want the real behind growing a business from the ground up. And now your host, Olivia Lee.
All right, listeners, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of The Power of We. It's your host, Olivia Lee, and I have a really exciting and super guest. You're going to love her, Tanya Barnett, and she is going to share with us a lot of information about being a real wife. She is an author, a speaker, a coach, and the head of the Real Wife Movement. Tanya, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I am happy to have you here. And we've been discussing a little bit on the back end, and I always do that. So I have a little inside knowledge, and I am just encouraged by our conversation and so excited and pumped up to hear what you have to share with all the listeners out here in the entrepreneur community. So this is my trick. You got about 30 seconds to a minute. I'm being really loose with it, but give us your spiel. Who are you? What do you do?
Tell me about yourself quick. It's the 30-second elevator pitch.
I am Tanya Barnett, the Real Wife Coach of the Real Wife Movement. And what I do is I help create strong marriages one wife at a time. I help women take ownership for their behaviors in their marriages and relationships and to become better women, better wives, better girlfriends.
Oh, so you're working with single women too?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, great. So listen, one of the things we're talking about and discussing on The Power of We is about the entrepreneurship journey. So can you talk to me a little bit about where you were before you started the Real Wife Movement in your career, and what brought you to doing this work?
Okay, well, I was a long-term substitute teacher in the local public school system for a couple of years. Prior to that, I homeschooled my kids as well as did home daycare. Mm-hmm. And I became the Real Wife Coach because I was constantly giving friends advice about their marriages and also women who were going through divorces. And I wrote a book because I thought about, wow, there are some things that we just didn't know before we got married. So that's why I wrote the book, Being a Wife Just Got Real, Things I Wish I Knew Before I Said I Do. And from there, people started calling me Coach or Coach Tanya. And so it just spun out from there and became the Real Wife Coach.
Okay. And so how has it been on this entrepreneurship journey? Because you were getting a paycheck from the government, basically.
Right.
And now you're coaching and you're advertising. You've been on shows. You're all over the place. Right.
It's different not having a steady paycheck, but I'm thankful that I have a husband who's very supportive of what I do. He sees the value, and he's bought into my vision. So that part, the financial piece, it's, the money isn't what it used to be, but it's okay because we're looking linear, not just right now. And then also the benefit of seeing people's marriages get better, seeing women have better communication in their relationships. So we look at the benefit versus the income that has been lost.
Mm-hmm. I understand. But you're still growing and taking steps in order to increase your business.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
What do you great. That's good. So if anybody's looking on your website and trying to find you, this is one of the things as a person who does startup business coaching, the website is awesome. And you already have email blast and just information and social proof on there. Where did you get your start? How did you just get some coaching, or how did you get to starting so well, so right?
Well, I have a mentor that I work with, and I also have a young lady that I coach with that actually coaches me. And I've taken a few classes. I've gone to different workshops as far as entrepreneurship is for women. And so through that process, especially with my mentor, who's also a graphic designer, so she did all the graphics, everything you see on my website, she created. Just having that support system and women who hold you accountable. So that's why the website looks so great because I've aligned myself with women who are pushing me towards that greatness.
Right. And as you're progressing through this stage, what are you finding are some of the like, it's just like your book, you're saying, I wish I had have known. Are there any of those instances in developing your business model that you've come across?
Yes, one of the things I did not realize is that you need startup capital. So that's what I've been doing through my journey is little by little, when we have some extra cash, I put it towards my business. So that's one of the things that I wish I had known, just having that money up front so that it wouldn't be such a struggle. So, getting, say, if you need banner or business cards or whatever, having that money available. So I've had to kind of take my time and pace myself in getting those things initially starting out.
Right. I agree with you. Sometimes you do really bootstrap and just, pay $50 here and pay $50 there, and you can work it out. But if you want to kind of make a splash, you do need to get your investment together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just appreciate that. And talking about your journey, especially because of how well your startup looks and is doing, is it going to be encouraging to other people? So, of course, I'm going to share with them your website. If you don't mind giving the website information out so everybody can know, and it'll be on the show notes too, so people can just find it and click on it. But how do people find you if they're looking for you?
Okay, my website is realwifemovement.com, just that simple. And my email is Tanya, Tanya, @realwifemovement.com.
Excellent. So let's get into the Real Wife Movement. Can you just talk a little bit about what is this movement? Why is it called a movement? And just let us know why we should be joining.
Okay. Well, the Real Wife Movement really is a movement where I felt like this, after having conversations with some of my friends who've been divorced, some friends who are in marriages that they're not happy with, I looked at what we're talking about, how we're acting, and I said, okay, if we were to look at our marriages in a different way and then change our behaviors to get the results that we want, will that work? So I did it within myself, and I shared some of the tips in my book of what I had to do to change my relationship with my husband, and then some of my friends did the same things. And then we talked about what happened, and so people started seeing positive results from those changes that we made. And so I said, okay, well, we're going to start a movement here. And so what happened is my pastor bought into it. So even at church, we have the Wives Club now, which we didn't have before my book. And so what that is we're teaching women how to be better wives to their husbands. So that's what the movement is all about. We don't do any men bashing at all, but it's really about your personal transformation, your growth, your maturity, because we've been taught a lot of things incorrectly going into marriage and prior to marriage. Okay.
So what kind of pushback are you getting from women who are joining the program?
Well, for some women, because their relationship is so tumultuous, they can only see their husband's errors or wrongs, and they can't see where they've contributed to that. So one example is I have a young lady that sought out my services, but her husband had an extramarital affair. Well, when we talked about, okay, what are some of the things that you're doing, she was constantly down on him, constantly, every time he made a mistake or whatever in her eyes, she was constantly tearing him down. So this young lady came into his space, and she was building him up. So, but the wife could not see her error in that. She saw was, well, my husband slept with another woman. She couldn't see how she could have contributed to that. And so she decided she didn't want to work with me. So those type of things, it's really about you and your personal transformation. That's what I'm trying to get women to understand. It's not about changing him. It's about you and what you're bringing to the table.
Excellent. So let's take a little break, okay? And then when we come back, we're going to go into a little bit of journey and do some coaching on me and my situation. I can't wait.
Awesome. Okay, that's going to be great.
Hey there, are you enjoying this episode? Remember to go online to tpowe.com to get more information about the guests and sign up to be notified the power of We News, brand new episodes, and much more. Let's get back to the show.
Okay, it's Olivia here, back with Tanya, and we are going to get into the Real Wife Movement and some coaching from the Real Wife Coach. And listen, because we are talking about marriage, and I'm going to talk about my marriage, okay? So as of this taping, we're in 2016. I have almost been married 10 years, and I have been an entrepreneur as long as my husband has known me. And my husband is blue collar. He is in law enforcement. So we have a pretty good, solid marriage, 4 beautiful kids, various age ranges, including a 2-year-old girl that might pop up anywhere from now while we're recording. I hope it doesn't happen. And I just want to know what kind of advice you give to women who do have a difference of work life with their husband. Especially, I think my husband sometimes forgets that even though I'm at home, I'm not just sitting around watching TV. I'm actually working.
Right. Well, my husband is the same way. So my husband is a 9-to-5er. He works for the government. So we've had the same communication issues. And so one day what I did, and the advice I would give to you, is write down a list of what you do all day. And then the time that it takes to do that. And what I had to do with my husband is when I did that, I explained to him, okay, I do this from this time to this time, and this is the benefit of that, or this is the potential result, or this is, whatever that task is that you're doing. I say have the communication, own your truth. That is my main thing. Owning your truth in love, speaking it in love, and then talking about it. And I think that's where the disconnect is. We don't talk about it. We get offended when they ask us, well, what are you doing? I've had people ask me the same thing. So when they ask us, what are you doing all day, or they discount what you're doing, have that conversation. I think it's really, really important to have a conversation. And once we do that, then I think they'll understand where we're coming from. They'll respect what we do a little more, and then they're able to help us. And that's the other thing. I've asked my husband to help me. Hey, babe, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? Can you help me with? And then when they feel like they're a part of it, they're more supportive.
Wow. I was quiet because I'm taking notes. Okay, just so you know, because it never entered in my brain to just take inventory of what I do. I'm not suggesting that my husband is my boss and I should answer to him, but if we're a team, it should be my job to explain some of what I do a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I don't see what's wrong with that. And I think it's a great idea because I get a lot of comments like, well, you're home. And I'm like, but I have a conference call in 10 minutes, or I'm going to be talking to somebody. I'm going to be doing some business development and networking. This is what I'm doing all day, whether I'm wearing a 3-piece power suit or I'm wearing my PJs. Right. So it doesn't mean anything, but I love that. I love that suggestion. And I think people out there are going to resonate with it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love to be amazed. So you're awesome. I love to be amazed.
And it's just that simple. It's simple, but again, these are things that I learned through the process, and that's why I'm coaching women so that they don't have to go through that as long as I went through it.
Right, right.
So yeah, I hope I want to hear feedback later to see how it worked out for you.
Oh, man, I got to do the work. Okay.
Yes, that's your homework. Feedback. You got to let me know how it works out. I always give homework, so that is your homework assignment.
Deal. And I'm going to put that on the show notes, too, as I'm going to say, I'm going to give that some thought and have some paperwork when I go in for my next conversation with this man about what I'm doing. Okay. So listen, there's another thing we were talking about offline, but I want to bring it into the conversation, is about the theory of having a secret bank account. And this is one of the things that you talk about in your book. And it's one of your very upfront topics, like in your face. This is a myth that you're debunking. Like, this is crazy. Don't go into your relationship with hiding money.
Right. Right.
Talk about that.
And I did that for years because that's what was taught to me from my mother. She'll probably kill me because I'm talking about it again. But what it does is it builds up mistrust initially, and then that's something subconsciously that's sitting back there. So then when there's issues, the first thing we say is, "Well, I don't need you." But that's not why you got married. Marriage isn't about a need for, you need that person. You're complimenting that person. You guys are a team. So we work together as partners.
Okay.
And so I think what happens for women, especially, we're taught to climb the corporate ladder and be your own boss, and some people become the devil who wears Prada. We bring that into our marriage. And so when we bring those secret bank accounts and all those various things, they then make our husbands feel like we don't need them. And then there's tension with that, and it becomes a spiral effect.
Wow. So can we have our own bank account? Is that allowed? I mean, should everything be what's mine is yours is mine? How do we work that out? Especially, because for me, I actually have several bank accounts because of all the different various businesses that I have. So what do you think?
Yes, I actually have my own separate bank account. My husband has one too. It's actually tied to our joint account. So what I do is whenever my husband gets paid, or if I get paid from a workshop or whatever, that money goes into our joint account, and then we have a percentage. So my husband, he usually, every time he gets paid, he takes $60, and I just transfer it over from my phone or whatever into his account. And then the same thing with me. I usually do something like $20, $30 and put it into my account. And so then therefore, we both have access. He doesn't have access to mine because he doesn't care, But, it's just having that communication, because my husband, when he wants to do things, he doesn't want to take it out the house budget. So now that he has a cushion, he can go in there and take $400 to do whatever, and then I'm not griping about, oh, my gosh, he spent $400. No, that's his $400 that he set to the side.
Right.
And vice versa.
So personal savings, basically, but working together for the family budget.
Absolutely.
And what about like your business accounts? Do you have your husband on your business accounts?
No, my husband is not on my business accounts, only because my businesses have their own EIN numbers and all that stuff. So he's not on them, but I have a book that I keep all that information in, so he would have access to it. Say, for instance, he needed access for whatever, he would be able to have access to those accounts, but he's not on those accounts.
Okay, yeah, mine isn't either. And he hasn't suggested any type of interest in being in it either, so I'm thinking it's a non-issue. But, one of the things that I realize when I'm dealing with my husband personally is that communication about this kind of thing is just like sometimes a little grunt, like I might say something, and he'll go, and that's it. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Does that mean you like it? You don't like it? What's going on? So I always am trying to be, and that's why I resonate with you, is I'm always trying to improve and make sure that I am supporting him and being helpful to him as well as myself. So I'm always looking for new ideas, and the personal life is just as important.
Absolutely. And even to touch on what you said about him giving you the grunt, ask him, well, hon, what does that mean? Is that a yes? Is that a no? Is that a let's talk about it? And then that way you're not coming away from that conversation feeling like, okay, well, I don't know what he was talking about. I mean, do you support me? So then you have this conversation going on in your head when you should be having it with him.
Questions. Excellent. Ooh, so good. So good. Okay, let's take another quick break. And then when we come back, we are going to get some real coaching and real advice that we all can use right now from our real wife coach.
Are you loving this episode? Great. Quick question. Do you have a product or service that helps and supports women entrepreneurs in a positive way? You can advertise here. Apply at tpowe.com/advertise. Let's get back to the show.
Okay, we are back with Tanya, and she is real wife coaching me. So that's awesome. I am ready, if you are, to just talk about the trends you're seeing in your entrepreneurial clients and what they have been experiencing in their journey as becoming real wives.
The main thing is kind of what what you talked about with you and your husband, just having that understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then once they're able to communicate that, what they're finding is that they get that support. What I'm seeing with men are results driven. So if we're able to say, hey, babe, this is what I'm doing, these are the results of it, or these are the potential results of it, then they're more inclined to relax a little bit and continue to allow the train to keep moving. I know for me, when I wasn't telling my husband, I'm like, what do you mean? What do I do all day? Then you get this pushback. But once I sat down and showed him exactly what I do, then the light bulb came on for him. So that's the main thing that the women are dealing with, is really trying to get them to understand. So whether they make a product, whether they are in some other type of business, really getting that husband or that boyfriend to understand what they do, and that relieves a lot of that pressure, that tension, and things of that nature.
Okay. So even we talked earlier about you coaching women who are not married. So how does that coaching work out?
Actually, the women who are not married are fun to work with because they don't have that history when we're having these conversations. So they're not coming in disgruntled or, have like 10 points that they want me to hit on regarding their husband. So they're very fun to work with. They're very receptive. And I think it's really cool that they're reaching out to me because they want to be prepared. So a lot of these women, it's helping them. I've had a couple who've read the book and said, well, I'm not ready to be married because I'm not ready to do this, and this. And that's okay. So then, therefore, that person doesn't get into a marriage miserable because they weren't aware of some of the things that happened during marriage, the changes, how you transition, whether, you go into a marriage and you're a blended family. There are some issues with that. I talk about that in my book. My husband, I brought a daughter into my marriage. What happens after the children come, after you start adding children to your marriage, the intimacy portion of it. I talk about those things in the book also. So really, the single women are very receptive because it gives them time to think about, okay, am I ready to do this? Oh, wow, I'm not doing this. And that way they're prepared.
And when you're coaching people, just looking through the site and just talking to you in advance, you have a myriad of ways that people can get in contact with you. So you're in the D.C. area, in Washington, D.C. area, and you host live events. Are they weekly?
They are not weekly. As right now, I have teenagers, so to try to do something weekly, and my teens, my son plays football and daughter cheers and all that, it's just not even possible.
Right.
And so what I do is I try to do things quarterly.
Okay.
A lot of what I do is online or on the phone. So I do Google Hangouts, things like that make it easier for women to connect with me.
Okay. So you can work with anybody from any place because of the digital world here.
Absolutely. And it makes life easier. And for some women, because they don't want their husbands to know that they're seeking out help, which is okay. And that's another thing we need to talk about, especially in the African-American community. We don't talk about getting help. It's some taboo on it. And so women will reach out to me. They'll even create a different email address just so their husband doesn't know that they're working with me. And so those are issues that need to be addressed, that it's okay to get help. It's okay to get help in your marriage. And so, the digital space has really opened it up for women to get that help without their husbands knowing or girlfriends knowing or what have you.
Okay. So we are entering into that point. And I'm wondering if everyone listening is getting nervous because you already stated you love to give homework, but I think it's important for us to come away from this conversation with some homework. So I already have my homework, but I'm willing to get some more because this is very important. I'm coming up on 10 years and I want to say that I have a 50-year and if we make it to 60-year marriage as well, so anniversary as well. So I think I'm ready for homework. Let's try to do two things that you think women who are just starting out in this movement and just starting to realize that maybe they could do some more work on themselves. What are two things that we could do?
Okay. The first thing that, especially since this is personal transformation, the first homework assignment is I want women to take some time and look at their life, their current life situation, and see if there are things or people that are consuming too much of their time. And if there are, they need to figure out how to change that.
So how do we go about doing that? Is this a meditative, journaling? What are we doing?
Definitely journaling, writing down. Are you spending too much time on, well, I'm giving it away, but, really just sitting back and saying, okay, in 24 hours, how much time am I giving things or people that are not in my relationship? So whether it's, your boyfriend or your husband, what are some things within 24 hours that you're giving your time and your attention to other than him or your children?
So your significant other is excluded and your children are excluded. Right. But then how much are you giving to other people or things, anything?
Yes.
So another kind of time accountability situation. And what does that do when you're what does that do for women who are taking this homework seriously and really taking account to how much time they're giving to other, basically that category other?
Well, there's an old saying, where your time and your money goes is what you value. And so if you're spending a lot of time, say, on social media, because it's so easy to get caught up in looking at everybody's Facebook, Instagram, whatever, that's where your priority is. So that's why I have women take the time to look at where they're spending their time and energy, especially if they're complaining about their relationship. So if you're giving, say, 2 hours a day to social media, another hour or so on the phone, texting or whatever, and you're only giving your husband, your significant other, maybe 5 minutes of your time, there's a problem. And therein lies, that could be one of the many roots that's causing the issue in that relationship. When you look and see where your time and energy is going and you're giving more time and energy to things and people and not to your significant other, there needs to be a shift. And I make women do this exercise because we don't realize how much time we're giving to different things. So just within the 24 hours, write down, okay, from 8 to 10, I'm doing this, and really looking and seeing, okay, where's my energy going? Mm-hmm. And then that helps women to get that aha moment, like, oh, my goodness, I'm on the phone talking to my girlfriend for, an hour, and that's time I could be spending with my boyfriend or my husband.
Yep. Okay. So this is a big deal, this exercise, and it really could change relationships for the better, definitely.
Absolutely.
Tanya?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Homework number 2. I'm scared to ask. Homework number 2.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I've been told by some women is finding things to do. So what I tell them is list at least 5 things that they can do outside of the home to reconnect that are fun and inexpensive.
Okay. So that's another homework. Just do some research for date night.
Yes. Have to have date night. Date night is so important. It could be date afternoon, date morning.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I tell women,
notes.
research Groupon, Living Social. There's so many coupons. My husband and I went whitewater rafting through Groupon. I think we paid $32 and it include a meal. And we used hotel points, so we had a free night. So for a whole weekend outside of gas, we paid maybe $50.
Mm-hmm. And still had a good time, and it was just you all.
Yes.
Wow. So second homework assignment is about researching activities that you all could do, just you. And if you've got the money, I guess you could go expensive. But if you are bootstrapping, then you might not have all the cash that you need to do fun and exciting things that cost a ton of cash. So the Groupons, I love that. Using your points. I have a Southwest card and I use it all the time, and I at least get to go two flights with my husband and myself, or if I need emergency somewhere, I at least get 2 flights out of that Southwest card every year. So, 4 technically, 2 round trip flights. So, that's an awesome idea. Date night. I got to do that. I got to institute. I'm always working. I'm afraid to do
you have to unplug. You have to. And that's one of our rules. When we go on date night, and unless I'm doing a write-up for like a restaurant or whatever, we turn our cell phones on mute, and we even put them in my purse. So then that way we're forced to spend time with each other. We tell the children, do not call us, text us unless the house is on fire, because we have teenagers. And they're so into what they're into, they're not going to text or call anyway. And anybody else, they could just leave a message, or we'll look at the text message later. So it's, again, making your relationship a priority, and we've gotten away from that. I think those phones have just really thrown us for a loop. I need my phone because I do business through my phone. But when I'm spending time with my husband, I have to give him that time. I have to give him all of me. And then he feels valued. And in doing that, then he makes me feel valued.
Great. I'm ready to do the work. I hope other people who are listening are just self-evaluating and realizing that these tips are awesome and really can just change the way that we interact with our spouses, our significant others, our boyfriends, girlfriends, whoever you're dating, and just helping us to be accountable. And I just thank you so much for your courage to go out there and take this step and what you're doing for everyone. This is just very, very powerful, just so you know.
Oh, thank you. And I love it. And so, and if I can leave anything, do something that you love, because when it's fueled by your love for it, then it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
You really, truly have to find something that is your passion and then monetize it.
Great advice. So people are getting ready to contact you and they're looking for you. Let's go down for social media and figure out where you are on the web, and for social media if they're looking for Twitter or Instagram, wherever you are. Okay.
So all of my social media handles are Real Wife Coach. So whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Twitter, whatever it is, I'm Real Wife Coach. And my website is Real Wife Movement.
Okay. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show, sharing your tips. And I have a little secret. We're going to put a little ad out that people can get a T-shirt if they once they listen to the podcast. So if you're listening, it's 2016 when we're recording this. But if it's 2018, the T-shirt's gone. But we're going to get some people to just go ahead and submit some information, and then we're going to pick a winner, and I'll announce it on the show notes, okay?
Awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything you've done, and I think I'm going to share my homework with you and the rest of the group and see how things really worked out for my relationship, and I hope it encourages other people. So I want to thank you one more time, and everyone out there listening, listen, you need to tap into the power that is we, women entrepreneurs. Tap into your own personal power, and just remember, you are great. You have it. All right. We'll see you next time.
You have been listening to The Power of We. Thank you to our special guests, our sponsors, and to you. Go to tpowe.com to get information on the show, its guests, advertising, and upcoming topics. We'll see you next episode.